The settlement on Carveth 9 had been Dr. Lena Aver's home for 8 months, and in that time she had learned one crucial rule: never venture beyond the perimeter after dusk. The Wraith, the apex predators of this world, hunted in packs when the twin moons rose. Their six-legged forms moved like liquid shadow through the crimson forests, and their crystalline eyes could detect heat signatures from nearly a kilometer away. But the distress call had changed everything. Lena had been analyzing soil samples when her scanner picked up biosignatures in distress. 3 juvenile Wraith, trapped in a collapsed ravine just beyond the safe zone. The rational part of her mind screamed warnings, but the xenologist in her couldn't ignore suffering regardless of species. She grabbed her medkit and went. The cubs were barely adolescent, their plates not yet hardened, their hunting crests still soft and folded. Rek, the largest, had his hind leg crushed beneath fallen stone. Nira whimpered beside him, her tail wrapped protectively around her brother's neck. Soln, the smallest, hissed weakly at Lena's approach, instinct warring with desperation in his young eyes. "Easy," Lena whispered, her translator rendering the sounds into something approximating their language. "I'm here to help." For 3 hours she worked. She stabilized Rek's leg with a brace fabricated from her emergency supplies, treated Nira's lacerations with synthetic tissue, and administered nutrients to the dehydrated Soln. The cubs watched her with those luminous eyes, gradually understanding that this strange, soft creature meant no harm. By the time she finished, the moons had risen. The adult pack found them just as Lena was helping Rek to his feet. 20 Wraith materialized from the darkness, their hunting crests fully extended, their mouths revealing rows of serrated teeth designed to tear through armor-plated prey. The pack leader, a massive female with scars crisscrossing her chest plates, stepped forward. Her growl resonated in frequencies that made Lena's bones ache. Lena raised her empty hands slowly. "I helped them. I'm not a threat." The translator did its work, but comprehension didn't matter. The pack leader's posture spoke of a different truth. A human had touched their young. The offense was unforgivable. The pack began to circle, cutting off any escape route. Lena's heart hammered against her ribs. She had no weapons, no defenses. The settlement was too far to call for help. She was going to die here. Then Rek limped forward, placing himself between Lena and his mother. The young Wraith's voice cracked as he spoke, but his stance was firm. Nira moved to his side, then Soln despite his weakness. The 3 cubs formed a living barrier, their backs to Lena, facing their own pack. The pack leader's roar shook the forest. She lunged forward, but Rek didn't move. He spoke again, louder this time, and gestured with his healing leg toward Lena. Nira added her voice high and desperate. Soln simply stood, trembling but resolute. The adult Wraith circled closer, snarls building into a cacophony of rage. These were apex predators, creatures that knew no fear, that had hunted megafauna to extinction on this world. They didn't understand mercy, didn't comprehend the concept of sparing prey. But they understood their young. Lena watched in stunned silence as the cubs refused to yield. Rek's voice grew stronger, more insistent. He touched his braced leg, then gestured to his siblings, then back to Lena. He was telling them what she had done, how she had chosen to help rather than flee, how she had been vulnerable in their presence and caused no harm. The pack leader approached Rek, towering over him. For a terrible moment, Lena thought the mother would strike her own cub down. Instead, the massive predator lowered her head, her crystalline eyes studying Lena with an intensity that felt like being dissected. Minutes passed in silence. The forest held its breath. Finally, the pack leader stepped back. She released a series of clicks and whistles, a command. The circle of Wraith loosened, then dissolved. One by one, the adult predators melted back into the forest, their heat signatures fading from Lena's scanner. Only the pack leader remained, standing with her cubs. She approached Lena slowly, each step measured and deliberate. Lena forced herself to remain still, though every instinct screamed at her to run. The Wraith stopped an arm's length away. She extended her foreleg, the gesture equivalent to a human offering a hand. Her voice, when it came through the translator, was rough but clear. "You gave mercy when you could have fled. You valued life over safety. This is understood." Lena's breath caught in her throat. She carefully reached out and placed her hand against the Wraith's armored limb. The crystal eyes studied her for a long moment. Then the pack leader nodded, an oddly human gesture. "My cubs have learned something today," the pack leader continued. Perhaps I have as well. You may pass through our territory without fear, Lena Avers. You have been marked as pack friend. With that, the massive predator turned and guided her cubs into the forest. Rek paused at the edge of the clearing, looking back at Lena. The young Wraith touched his chest with his foreclaw, a gesture she had seen before in her studies. Gratitude, respect. Then they were gone. Lena stood alone in the moonlit clearing, her legs suddenly weak. She sank to her knees, the adrenaline finally draining from her system. She had come to Carveth 9 to study alien life, to understand the myriad ways consciousness could evolve and express itself across the galaxy. Tonight, she had learned something far more profound, that compassion could transcend species, that mercy could be taught, and that sometimes the most alien thing in the universe was not the creature with 6 legs and crystalline eyes, but the simple act of choosing kindness in the face of fear. 3 young predators had stood between her and death, not because of instinct or programming, but because they had witnessed something that changed them. They had seen a human choose to help rather than harm, and in that moment they had shown their pack what true strength looked like. Peace, Lena realized, didn't come from being the strongest or the most feared. It came from the courage to be vulnerable, to extend help when logic demanded retreat, and to believe that understanding could bridge even the widest gulf. As she made her way back to the settlement, the forest around her felt different, not safer perhaps, but no longer quite so alien. Somewhere in the crimson shadows, 3 cubs would carry the memory of this night, and perhaps they would teach their own young someday about the strange, soft creature who had shown them that mercy was not weakness. It was the beginning of something new, a bridge built not with words or treaties, but with the simple act of compassion offered freely in the darkness, and the courage of 3 young predators who chose peace over violence when it mattered most.